The second story arc of the 2001 anime adaptation of Shaman King covers episodes 12 through 24. The previous arc kept the story very localized in terms of the characters and the lore. It felt like a small town story up until this point. In the first arc, they established the characters of Yo Amidomaru, Ryu, Manta, Anna, and Yo's rival Ren. However, it's with these stretch of episodes where the shaman world slowly opens up to us. I'm Dimsy from the Shaman Tribe, and let's review the second arc in the 2001 Shaman King anime, Shaman Fight in Tokyo. The story is kept very localized by the lens of the characters that have been established. What do I mean by that? This story arc is essentially the birth and establishment of Team Yo. We get an insight of character dynamics and how they bounce off each other. We understand the unity between these comrades even under very challenging circumstances. We learn how when they're all together, things will work out somehow. A phrase Yo himself says throughout the show. The arc begins immediately after the fallout where Ryu was possessed by Tokugero and is slowly recovering. The scene that sums up much of the tone of the series is when Ryu is sleeping and B-Boy and Beanie Guy, they watch over him very worried, and it's in his unconscious slumber Ryu farts. This sleepy fart is a signal that he's okay. Reading this or just listening to this fact that I just said a fart joke sums up Shaman King's tone could be seen as negative, but it's the complete opposite. The carefree, casual nature spawns comedy so effortlessly, effortlessly, and it doesn't even hinder the story at all, nor the flow of which the events are occurring at all. Literally 30 seconds after that fart gag, we get another fart gag with HoroHoro, Yo, and Anna. The second story arc starts it off with using Ryu as the viewer's lens. We had plenty of hijinks and comedy, but Ryu is in his most confused state, even though he is finally a shaman and his shaman powers have awakened. We expected some sort of big celebration, but he's so torn up after the recent events and his recent crimes after destroying Harusume, which has also emotionally affected Amidomaru. However, through Anna's powers, Mosuke possesses Ryu to make a new blade, a new Harusume for Amidomaru, which theoretically should solve Ryu's internal struggle and guilt, but it only convinces him that he needs to leave at least for a while, and through his exit, this allows the Ryu gang to go off screen so the story can focus more heavily on the immediate main cast and antagonists that we're gonna face later on. It was poetic and symbolic because as Ryu was riding off in the moonlight, the legendary star Lago signaling the star of the shaman tournament as Ryu is starting to go down his own road and becoming a shaman warrior. We are reminded of the enormity of the Shaman tournament through the explanation of how the legendary star Lago is the signal of total destruction that happens every 500 years. However, a savior always shows up to stop this calamity, the savior being the Shaman King. A great way to remind the viewers of what the long-term meaning of this show is all about. It's also interesting how such a serious and dire threat is juxtaposed with the carefree nature of our main protagonist, Yo Asakura, and his friends. Shaman King's biggest strength is how they're able to cycle in and out characters without it feeling rushed or overwhelming. This story arc is a great example, although the best examples would be in the upcoming story arc, which we're going to cover in the next video. The Shaman Fight in Tokyo arc fleshes out the inner workings of much of the main cast. It also introduced and built upon the concepts around the Shaman King power system, while simultaneously introducing the Patch Tribe, who are the organizers of the tournament. It was a great experience for the viewers as we're learning so much alongside the main cast. We found out about how Oversoul and the different ways of utilizing the spirits. When Yo faced off against Silver to qualify for the Shaman tournament, it was playful yet filled with suspense. Quick thought, why did Silver never wear his mask throughout the series again after he wore it in the first meeting as he was first introduced to us and introducing himself to Yo? It looks so cool and I miss it. I want it back. Anyway, the battle taught us about the concept of Furyoku, how Hyogatai isn't enough, and how to use Oversoul. It was an info dump that was shrouded within the battle. It's only just a qualifier, but it gets the viewers amped up and ready for the various Oversoul techniques that we may see, especially after how unique and how quirky they looked. Silver's Oversoul was a totem pole cannon. What on earth? What other crazy shit are we gonna see later on? Now, in the previous arc, Anna was introduced as Yo's fiance. Her role was to be the discipline factor in Yo's life, and her expressionless behavior provided so much dry comedy. The comedic aspect of Shaman King deserves its own video, but Anna is in this second story arc showcase her unwavering belief of Yo. Anna and Yo subvert the shonen genre. There isn't this tsundere or yandere dynamic around the main character, which makes the audience think, will they, won't they? No, it's clearly stated that Yo is betrothed to Anna. It cuts out any shipping speculation and has us focusing solely on the dynamics as a couple. It's a bold move, but a move that differentiates Shaman King from every other shonen. Anna says one of the most favorite lines, my most favorite lines, to Manta whilst Yo is fighting Silver. As Manta is worried, sick and panicking, Anna tells him not to worry before saying the following: Yo can be himself under any circumstance. He will never lose his will to be a free individual, because his only goal is to be lazy. That is why he can do anything with his idea of freedom. It is such a powerful statement. In K.M. Weiland's book, Creating Character Arcs, she speaks about a flat character arc. This is where a character believes in a truth, maintains the truth, and uses their personal truth to change the world. This is Anna telling Manta that Yo will always stay the same no matter what. But the best part of this exchange is that it isn't true. Well, until recently. I'm going to explain that shortly, but let's rewind a little and talk about the first official fight scheduled for Yo, and that was against HoroHoro. Up until this point, HoroHoro was a comedic goof with plenty of fart gags and showcasing third wheel behavior. So with the introduction of his sister Pirika, you'd think his behavior and interactions with Yo is gonna change, since Pirika grounds him and is always reminding him of how serious he needs to be, and she was horrified when she found out HoroHoro was living under the same roof as Yo. Nope. HoroHoro found every opportunity to spend time with Yo, and it showcased the camaraderie and friendship that was happening and building up between the two. Look, they can relate to each other at a level where most can't. Again, Manta is the voice of worry and is amazed as to how easygoing Yo is, even under such dire circumstances. This is just a recurring theme that we see throughout the show, where we have Manta echoing the thoughts of the viewer, worrying and thinking, hey, how is this even working? And the battle between the two was spectacular, but Yo came out on top. The Shaman King tournament has been billed as this monumental occasion, and seeing how Yo and HoroHoro behave after their match, it grounds us to remember that you should enjoy the ride without really caring where it takes you. As stated earlier, Yo has been written to have this flat character arc whereby he's always easygoing and his personality will shape the environment and the people around him such that it always suits him, and that is the key influence he has on people, especially around him, because he's now building this team. People are gravitating towards him when even though he's not trying hard to assemble or recruit people. Yo is growing more confident in his Oversoul and Shaman ability, but more importantly, he's growing increasingly as a leader, as we see at the end of the fight between Yo and HoroHoro. Now, HoroHoro is the kind of guy who wears his heart on his sleeve, and he would usually be absolutely devastated after a loss like that. For example, when he lost all of his items, he was completely broken during his introductory episode, but at the end of the episode of the fight between the two, between himself and Yo, HoroHoro is is calm like the wind and has a carefree attitude as both Yo and HoroHoro are relaxing in a hot tub. This is an example of the Yo's calm-free nature slowly having an impact on another character, which again is a characteristic of a true and a natural-born leader. However, this all changes during Yo's second fight against Johann Faust VIII, after Faust kidnapped Manta and was literally surgically torturing him in front of Yo. The cool-headed, easygoing shaman completely lost his cool. Yo was enraged, and this led to him losing against Faust due to his uncharacteristical emotional outburst. But who was Faust? He was introduced so well. Instead of him being some weakly one-and-done antagonist, he was fleshed out. Silva warned Anna that Faust murdered his last opponent. We find out that Faust is a doctor, but he was unable to cure death. The skeleton he carries is that of his deceased wife Eliza. He's desperately trying to revive her by any means possible. With his fury and tactics, Faust was just about to kill Yo, but he was saved by none other than Tao En. But why was this fight so significant to Yo and his development? Because not only did this highlight how Manta was his weak point because he lost his cool and calmness, it was a reality check to Yo that said, hey, listen, you're just not strong enough. And in order to protect the people that he cares about, he needs to get both more serious and more stronger. This fight, this loss, this close shave to death forced Yo to volunteer and take on his grandfather Yomei's cave training in his hometown of Izumo. We need to remember that Yo is the ultimate slacker. He hates training unlike any other shonen protagonist, which is what makes Yo again stand out, as this makes him more human and relatable to the average viewer. But the fact that he volunteered himself rather than being forced by Anna shows how ready and how serious he's taking this, and especially how serious he's taking the upcoming Shaman fights. As mentioned earlier, Ren saved Yo from Faust's killer blow in what can only be described as one of the most over-the-top flamboyant entrances of all time. Arriving on a white horse, wearing a cloak with collars bigger than his head and most of his upper body, Ren tells Yo that Faust's skeletons had fragile bones. They probably didn't drink enough milk in their lifetime, but Ren drinks 3 bottles of milk a day, and he won't let them kill Yo because Yo is his next opponent. I kid you not, he said that with some of the most climactic soundtracks of all time to only add to the flamboyance. What a re-entry, what a re-emergence back into this story. However, we should focus on why this fight with Faust was so important. Yo lost his cool, and until now we as the viewer have been reminded of Yo's behavior, and through exposition dialogue from Anna, HoroHoro, Manta, Ryu, Jun, Silva, and even Yo himself, he always keeps his cool because he's just easygoing and he believes that things will work out somehow. But this time, it didn't work out. This time, he almost died. This time, his friend almost died. That's because Yo's mental state was compromised as he had Manta being tortured right in front of his eyes. Now, with his easygoing nature, it may not be apparent for other people, but Yo really does care about things and he's truly protective over them. Yo was very lonely up until he met Manta, his first true human friend. As we learn later on, Yo doesn't really want to endanger Manta ever again, so he fakes some harsh words towards him in an attempt to drive him off. Now, credit to Manta, he did everything in his power to be useful and as little of a hindrance to Yo. This speaks volumes of his character and determination as a friend. When Manta bumps into Ryu, who re-enters the story after a couple of episodes off screen, they go on a road trip to Yo's hometown Izumo, where Yo has returned to undergo training for his upcoming fight against Ren. Now, you can tell Ryu has calmed himself and is really comfortable with himself again. The reveal of Ryu teaming up with Tokageru, much to the horror of Manta, was executed brilliantly. It was funny, but when you really examine why they're teaming up, it makes a lot of sense. Ryu and Tokageru are lonely, wandering souls who are not inherently bad, they're just looking for their best place when Ryu confronted and defeated two female shamans who later on are part of one of my favorite aspects of Shaman King. It was revealed that Ryu is also participating in the Shaman tournament under the tutelage of Mikihisa, who is Yo's father. As stated before, Shaman King does an exceptional job of moving the story and cycling in and out various characters seamlessly. We meet Tamao, who specializes in seeing the future, and Yomei, who is Yo's grandfather. We explore Yo's family more, and later on in the story arc, we do the same for Ren. We had a much needed training sequence for Yo as we are slowly ramping up the level of the threats that are occurring in the Shaman King world. So we need Yo to be stronger, much stronger. I will admit that Yo learning Oversoul and overwhelming Silver in 5 minutes could be seen as an ass pull. It could be chalked down to Yo being very talented or the continuous rigorous training and our put him through finally paying off. But having a specific event for Yo to train up makes his increase in power more plausible, more believable. The fight between Ren and Yo was epic as we saw Amidamaru find a rival within Bason. The fight ended in a stalemate which allowed both to qualify. We need to remember that Ren was the favorite. He had more Furyoku, he had a stronger Oversoul, so why couldn't he defeat Yo? It's all about the difference in the psyche between the two warriors. Ren is always angry. He has a chip or chips on both of his shoulders, whilst Yo is just breezing by without letting anything get to him. The show preaches to us to always stay calm and collected and not let hate cloud our judgment, or you're gonna lose, just like how Yo lost to Faust because he lost his cool. This fight exemplifies the show's theme of being calm and collected, and everything will work out somehow, as Ren himself concedes and gives Yo his utmost respect as a warrior. However, it's the aftermath that's key. The aftermath that some of my favorite moments in the whole series unfold. Yo invites Ren over for dinner, to which he refuses, but somehow Ren comes along and he reluctantly hangs out with Yo and the crew, as Bason remarks how happy Ren seems. The character traits of Ren did not seem compromised or unnatural. It was obvious he was in a state of confusion, wondering how someone with no hate in the heart could defeat him. But that's probably why he was defeated when Yo, HoroHoro and Manta forced Ren to get into the hot spring with them. It was so funny. It really was comedy gold, but it signaled the change, the true change taking form within Ren. He was taught to hate humans and to always be cold, but he learned that humans are actually quite warm and they can be good. This was the moment his resolve was solidified. He wants to erase hate from this world only if he can become Shaman King. This was the moment when Ren respected Yo as a person, which he already displayed at the end of their fight by calling Yo calm like the wind. That montage where they showed the camaraderie was done perfectly, as you can see and feel the friendship brewing amongst Yo, HoroHoro and Ren. It was wholesome and it signaled a night of celebration after competing in the preliminaries for this Shaman tournament. But it all took a turn for the worst as Bason scurried back to Yo and crew begging for help, as Ren's father, Tao En, did not take lightly to Ren's new attitude. This was the start of the episodes which focused on saving Ren. We got an understanding of how the Tao family operates and what their mantra is. Whilst embarking on this new adventure, they run into Zenryo, who name drop Hao for the first time in the story. We are slowly but surely unraveling the sheer magnitude of this Shaman tournament. The different factions are coming forth and they're starting to take form. In order for Yo's faction to take form, they need to save Ren. Ryu re-enters the story and formally introduces himself as a shaman to Yo and the crew. But they were more shocked to find out that Ryu is teaming up with Tokageru. It was genius how they alluded to Hao's faction before they went to save Ren. These small seeds have been planted tactically into the story, so we are subliminally prepared for when they are officially revealed. We knew about Ryu and Tokageru, and we were anticipating the reaction for the other cast members when they find out. We knew that Anna was aware that Yo and his friends disobeyed her to save Ren, but we wanted to see how she and Yo confront each other later on. Yo and Anna's interaction deserves its own video because it's far more deeper and nuanced than it may seem. But the fact is that the storytelling is top notch and does wonders for the viewer. It's like dangling a carrot in front of us and we just follow. The last run of episodes for the Shaman Fight in Tokyo arc sees them travel to China and infiltrate the Tao household in order to save Ren. We have spent the majority of this story within a local place in Tokyo. Although we travel to Yo's hometown in Izumo, it doesn't compare to the major architectural and design shift when we go to the Tao family compound. It felt very much like a game, a dreary zombie-esque scenery and a house of horror, very similar again to a video game. You had to clear each levels in order to reach the final boss as you go up and up the compound. It was a great way to showcase much of the growth that our shaman main cast have underwent. It was such a spooky and dodgy place, and honestly, seeing Ren and Jun imprisoned the way they were, I had serious childcare questions which were not answered or addressed by the end of this arc, but don't worry, I'll speak about them by the end. I really loved seeing Li Pai Long again, and the revelation that the strongest of the Jiangashi, or the 5 deities being Shaman, kind of brought everything back full circle. It was nice to see Pai Long defeat Shaman after previously losing to him in the first arc. It was also great to see the anger in Ren's face after being rescued by Yo, which is completely in line with his character. When they faced off against Tao En, I did feel like it was this final boss video game battle. Tao En was this massive monster who seemed unbeatable. It was more of a mystery trying to figure out the root of his power, but when they did and defeated him, it was a great moment for Ren. The explanation of why the Tao family harbor so much hatred made sense. They felt China betrayed them and ostracized them for being shamans. Ren rejects this cycle of hatred, and Ren's grandfather acknowledges that Ren and Jun are free from the Tao family's hateful shackles. But this is where it gets convoluted. I don't understand how they can all just suddenly have dinner and converse like nothing just happened. This isn't the same after the Shaman Fight and Ren comes to dinner with the Asakura family. No. Well, Yo and his crew. No, this is completely different. Ren and Jun were being tortured left, right, center, and they just saved them, and then Yo and his friends are having dinner with them? Okay. Ren's mother and granddad appear seemingly unfazed that Ren and Jun were chained up in a dungeon. Also, Jun and Ren apparently have never seen Tao En's true form until literally now. What on earth? What kind of family is this? By the end, Yo and his friends go back to Japan, and En gifts Ren that rhymes, but En gives Ren the family sword Huraiken. This story arc done so much in such a little amount of time. In 13 episodes, it completed Ren's backstory, converted Ren to the good side, had Yo learn multiple new techniques, elaborate on the friendship between Yo and Manta, Yo and HoroHoro, and of course Yo and Ren. It forged a strong bond between all of them. It became a faction. This is the birth of Team Yo. It gave us a training montage that seemed convincing and not contrived. We had classic Anna moments, we had seeds planted of future confrontations, and most importantly, we had the various hairstyles of Ryu. You may think that's a joke, but when Ryu's hair changes, the story tone shifts. It seems to change. There seems to always be a new flow of major information between the changing of Ryu's hairstyles. Like how Lago represented the start of the Shaman tournament, Ryu's hairstyle signals a major shift in the story. Now you'd think that the increase in seriousness within the story, the comedy will be toned down. No, the comedy has only been dialed up by quite a bit. The best part is it doesn't hinder the story nowhere in the slightest. It further reinforces the various character traits that we see, how these characters interact and bounce off each other. It's so different and unique. This has been the Shaman King review part 2, Shaman Fight in Tokyo. Stay tuned for part 3 as the story takes us to America. Alright.